Welcome to my views and news. Some news stories from Ethiopia, Eritrea and Sudan. Firstly, a warning from Ethiopian government. Warning for aid organization, USAID and World Food Program. Ethiopian news agency, state news agency, just a few minutes ago issued a very strong statement from Lagasse Tolo, Communication Minister of Ethiopia. Lagasse Tolo's statement is a warning as well as a request from Ethiopian government to USAID and World Food Program. Secondly, just 2 days ago, another Fano fighters platform was established, Amhara United Forces, and then began discussions about why new Fano armed fighters platforms were being established in the Amhara region. Amhara United Forces AUF released another statement today, perhaps to clarify a few things. Thirdly, budget for Wolkait. Ethiopian government has prepared budget for the coming year, but no budget for Wolkait. Some members of parliament raised questions about unavailability of non-allocation of budget for Wolkait. What was the reply from Ahmed, Ethiopian finance minister? Fourthly, Eritrea viewers, I want to share with you plight of Eritrean refugees in Afar region of Ethiopia. By the way, how many are total Eritrean refugees and asylum seekers across the world? And what is the problem being faced by them in Afar region? Though they are facing problems in other parts of the world too, but in Afar they are facing problems. They've been facing problems since last year, especially since the start of this war, which came to an end last year in northern Ethiopia. Fifthly, we have Sudan. Darfur, a governor is calling for international investigation into what happened and what is happening in Al Janina, West Darfur. And secondly, rapid support forces confirmed today's clashes, and RSF claims that it has laid siege to Sudanese army's camps in Al-Shajara. Details for you. Firstly, viewers, we know that USAID and World Food Program has suspended delivery of all food items to Ethiopia. They suspended food aid delivery to Tigray more than 3 weeks ago. They said that aid was being stolen in Tigray. Then USAID launched an internal inquiry, maybe World Food Program as well. Contents of the inquiry was published by Washington Post, and the contents which were published by Washington Post showed that according to the investigation, Ethiopian military, regional forces, regional governments, federal government officials, all have been involved in aid theft, food aid theft, flour, wheat. Not only were being stolen, but also being smuggled from Ethiopia into neighboring countries. The USAID World Food Program suspended delivery of food items, and they said that the aid delivery would not be resumed until the perpetrators are held accountable. What happened after that? After that, Ethiopian government issued a joint statement with USAID saying that the government would launch joint investigation, and those involved in aid theft would be held accountable. But things change after that. Today's statement from Ethiopian government is a very strong statement. Lagasse Tolo is Ethiopian communication minister. Briefing the journalists, he leveled serious allegations against USAID. He said USAID has been defaming Ethiopian government, Ethiopian military, regional governments. In its past reports, USAID has been trying to discredit, to defame the government and forces in Ethiopia. Investigation conducted by USAID was not inclusive. No Ethiopian official, Ethiopian department was part of this investigation. If there are problems, USAID, World Food Programme, should have conducted joint investigation with Ethiopian government. It did not happen. The investigation conducted does not meet international standards, and that government is ready, Ethiopian government is ready to hold the people accountable if there is enough evidence, and government has launched an internal investigation into allegations of aid theft. At the end, Lagasse Tolo warned USAID and World Food Programme. He said people are in dire need of food aid in Ethiopia. If aid delivery is not restored, tens of thousands could suffer, and aid organizations would be responsible for the suffering of Ethiopian people. That is why aid organizations should revisit their decision of suspension of food aid to Ethiopia. They should discharge their responsibilities and provide food to the people of Ethiopia. Now, the statement from Ethiopian government is ridiculous. That is what I can say. Ethiopian government is warning USAID, World Food Programme, that they could kill people in Ethiopia because of suspension of food aid in Ethiopia. But the government is not acknowledging that its own officials, its forces were involved in aid theft. If anyone is to be declared responsible for suspension of food aid, it is the government officials, those who have been stealing aid. Instead of admitting the mistake, apologizing, holding an inquiry, holding people accountable, Ethiopian government is putting pressure upon USAID and World Food Programme. They say beggars are not choosers. I'm sorry I have to use this word beggars. But that is what seems to be the case. That Ethiopian government, by the way, USAID is US government's aid organization. World Food Programme is UN's organization, but not USAID. USAID is basically US government. So while begging for food, Ethiopian government is threatening the aid organizations as well. Primary responsibility of provision of food to Ethiopians is that of Ethiopian government, not that of USAID. But I was astonished when I read the statement. Government wants to remain dependent on food aid. It seems this food aid is a source of income for Ethiopian government officials, for military officials. That is how they earn money. They steal food aid items, they smuggle food aid into neighboring countries. And people have no choice. By the way, yes, people will suffer. USAID, World Food Programme, should, for the sake of Ethiopian people announced resumption of food aid to Ethiopia. They should put in place some checks and balances, some transparent mechanism. Second was Amhara United Forces, a new platform established in the Amhara region for armed movement, has issued another statement 2 days ago. AUF was formed saying that it wanted to launch a joint struggle for the survival of Amhara people, that Amharas were in danger, their existence was in danger. So several such platforms exist in the Amhara region, claiming to be representative of Fano fighters. Then began criticism that why is that new platforms by Fano fighters were being established in the Amhara region. Already there is Kandarnaga's Amhara Popular Front, Safar Malice's Amhara Fano Unity Council, and some others too. Amhara People's Committee as well. And there are then Fano factions too. East Amhara Fano of Merewadajo, Blatashagao Shah Fano, Gondar Fano of Massavent, Minilik Brigade, Gondar Brigade, etc. AUF today issued another statement. Now AUF says that it has been in talks with Fano fighters for a long time. Fano fighters in all 4 zones of the Amhara region, in Gojam, Gondar, Shoa, and East Amhara Fano. After long discussions, this Amhara United Forces was established. AUF is asking all the Fano factions to work jointly. Now, I think that these new Fano fighters platforms are being established because all these platform leaders hope that they'll get support, financial support from abroad. Of course, Amhara sitting in US, Europe, they cannot send financial aid, financial assistance to individual Fano fighters. They want some authority, some central authority in the Amhara region, leading all Fano factions. That is why Skandar-Naga's Amhara Popular Front was established. Other newly established or already existing Fano fighters platforms also hope that they'll get money from abroad. That is why new Fano fighters organizations are surfacing. Thirdly, viewers, Wolkait. Any budget allocation for Wolkait in the budget announced by Ethiopian government this week? No allocation of budget for Wolkait. It has been a demand of the people of Wolkait, of government officials, temporary government officials of Wolkait, led by Colonel Demak Azadu and others. But Amhara very clearly said that no budget had been allocated for Wolkait. Dassalen Chane, Member of Parliament from the Gujum, from Amhara region, raised a question. Why was no budget allocated for Wolkait? And Amhara replied that since House of Federation had not asked Ministry of Finance to allocate budget for Wolkait, that is why no allocation. How will Wolkait interim government survive if there is no budget? Either Amhara government will support Wolkait government, or federal government will support directly, or Amhara businessmen will support Wolkait government, Wolkait militias. But since there is no budget allocation for Wolkait, it means that Ethiopian federal government still wants to keep the confusion about future status of Wolkait and Raya to continue. Because if a budget is allocated, it could be a problem. Will the allocation be part of Tigray budget or Amhara budget? Or will the area be given funds from federal government directly? Several questions. Government wants this confusion to continue. Tigray wants an early decision. Amhara is opposing any decision. Amhara wants status quo to continue. That is why no budget allocation. And by the way, Amhara businessmen can support the Wolkait government a little, but they will not invest in Wolkait. They don't know if the Wolkait will be part of Amhara or Tigray. So they will not invest large amounts of money in Wolkait. Fourthly, viewers, Eritrean refugees, plight of Eritrean refugees globally, they are suffering. How many Eritrean refugees are in the world? How many refugees and asylum seekers? 500,000 is the number. Globally, there are 500,000 Eritrean refugees and asylum seekers. Ethiopia, Sudan, Sweden, Germany, the Netherlands are top countries where most of Eritrean refugees and asylum seekers are. Now, a country with a population of 4 million people has 500,000 refugees and asylum seekers. So you can see for yourself that people are fleeing the country, and this number does not include those who have already settled in Europe and US and who have citizenship there, who have permanent residency there. These are just refugees and asylum seekers. Eritrean refugees in Afar have been facing problems since the start of war in northern Ethiopia, which ended last year. In Afar, there is a refugee camp for Eritrean refugees in Asaita. When Eritrean Afars enter Afar region of Ethiopia and they apply for registration at the camp, their application for registration faces several difficulties. Last year, several thousand were waiting for registration. Without registration, the refugees are not eligible to receive food, receive shelter, receive any type of aid. Thousands were waiting last year for registration. If they are registered, next step is asylum procedure. Again, their cases for asylum are delayed. Why? Because Eritrean government does not want Ethiopia to treat Eritrean affairs swiftly for their asylum cases. Eritrean government has been opposing the entry of Eritrean affairs into Afar region of Ethiopia. And we have seen some operations too. Last year, if you remember, Eritrean military conducted an operation on Afar region of Ethiopia. And some members of Eritrean military and some Afars, they were taken from Afar region of Ethiopia by force by Eritrean military back to Eritrea. And UN Human Rights Council claims that Eritrean Afars are facing discrimination in the regional state where Afars are in majority. When these Afars try to leave Eritrea and enter Ethiopia again, a challenge for them to be registered at Asaita refugee camp. I think Ethiopian government should not be part of the internal problems of Eritrea. Eritrean government might have problems with the Afars of Eritrea, but Ethiopian government should treat all Eritreans equally, whether they are from Afar ethnic group or some other ethnic groups. Lastly, we are Sudan, where clashes resumed this morning after 24-hour ceasefire came to an end, and Rapid Support Forces issued a statement confirming the resumption of fighting. RSF claims that in today's fighting, it captured 10 vehicles and several camps of Sudanese military. There was fighting near Halfayil Maluk Bridge, fighting in East Nile region. And Rapid Support Forces claim they have surrounded Sudanese army's camps in Al-Shajara. Al-Shajara is situated to the west of Armored Corps of Sudanese military, which is the target of Rapid Support Forces. To the south of Al-Shajara is Jarmouk Military Industrial Complex, which was taken by Rapid Support Force members 3 days ago. And their next target is Armored Corps. They are confirming their presence, their control of Shajara. So they'll try to make a move on Armored Corps in coming days, but Sudan military has sent reinforcements to Armored Corps. Armored Corps defenses have been beefed up at the Armored Corps. Let's see. Secondly, Darfur views. Darfur governor today called for international investigation into the crimes, war crimes, human rights abuses being committed in Al Janina. Al Janina is in West Darfur. Darfur governor is Mini Minawi. Mini Minawi's statement is an admission of the fact that Mini Minawi, governor of Darfur, has no control over Al Janina. 80 to 90% of Al Janina is under RSF control. Thousands have fled, but still thousands are trapped in some neighborhoods. Rapid Support Forces or Arab militia, they have looted everything in Al Janina. Since Mini Minawi's government troops have no access to Al Janina, that is why he is calling for international investigation. Who will conduct this investigation? No one. Maybe after a few weeks when thousands would have been killed. And thousands have been killed so far in this war. Hundreds in Al Janina. No one knows because there is no access. No media allowed to visit Al Janina. No aid organization there. No telecom service there. So no one knows what happened there. But those who are fleeing Al Janina and those who have entered Chad from Al Janina and West Darfur, they are telling horrific stories of death, destruction and devastation in Darfur, in Al Janina and Darfur. But international investigation should be conducted. At least perpetrators should be identified. To hold them accountable is another issue, but at least they should be identified. Let's see. Will someone listen to Mini Minawi's call for international investigation? Thank you for watching.